Good evening, good night, everybody here on Facebook, and welcome to the 11th hour. It is 11 p.m. and a lot of you are up tonight doing your work, studying, doing the things that you do best, and really working on whatever it is that you dream about. Tonight, as I start to talk, and as I start to go through this, I want, if you're listening, to kind of follow this along. I want you to follow the path that I'm going to take you on tonight. And I'm going to show you 3 reasons, not only why you need to attend the masterclass, but to show you also, to give you the perspective by which to judge as to whether or not you have gaps in your business that need to be filled. We all do, but sometimes we get comfortable. When cash is flowing and money is moving, we get comfortable in our business and we feel like, I'm good, I'm level. But, in my world, in commission-based worlds and things like that, sometimes all it takes is for 1 or 2 things to kind of break down and you could be right back to square one. So you really got to stay on top of your business. And no matter how good your company is, you're going to have those gaps. But that's what the Masterclass is designed to do, to help you to fill those gaps. And let me be a bridge to that gap for you. So you can look up the Masterclass by going to Dwayne Hirsch, www.dwaynehirsch.com. Now, what a lot of you have to understand is, and as I kind of walk you through this storyline, that you'll find things, if you really go out and you do things and you attack this the way you're supposed to, you're going to find needs in the marketplace for what you have that you never knew existed. So it's whether you want it to be bigger or not, whether you think it's bigger or not, if you attack this a certain way, it's definitely going to come to you and it's going to be bigger than what you expected, and you're going to see what that space was. So point number 1, reason number 1 as to why you should come to the masterclass, because our first topic that we're going to talk about on August the 6th is the psychology of networking. And inside your psychology, I want to focus on one specific point tonight, and it has to do with our confidence. So when you get to the point, all of us are not at the point to do this, and I certainly have not always been, but it was something I developed because I ended up getting into these rooms pretty often. But here you are barely surviving. In my situation, barely surviving. And I had an incredible opportunity that I'm working inside of, and I'm getting in the room with all these wonderful people. So I had to learn the fact that I had a lot of value to bring into the room that I was walking in and the people that I was meeting with. And when I learned that I had that level of value, it changed the way I attacked it. So I learned how to have a dominant mentality even when I was in a recessive position. So you sit across the table from somebody that's worth $300 million, $500 million here. And I mean, I've been in these rooms many times in a road that I took with this product, Premium Energy, when we was doing this a few years ago. And that's what a lot of this is about. But when you being aware of your value and being aware, when I became aware of the value of what we had, the fact that the marketplace wanted and in a couple of cases needed what we had, they needed our story, it gave me a different swag when I walked in the room. So now my chest is poked out, I'm focused, and I sit down and I talk with a level of confidence to say, I got something that you need. There's people out there in the investment world that are literally sitting back right now, right this minute, looking for opportunities just like the one you got to offer when you're saying you don't have no access to capital. There's businesses where people do this, and it's not all, as a reminder again, it's not all racially motivated, and I'm going to show you why. When you bring real value into a room that's filled with power, you gain power in that moment. And during this time and in times subsequent to that, I felt a lot of power from the rooms that I've been in. But also when you feel that, you got to attack. That's when you dive on it. You pounce on it. You go at it with all you can, because now you're in the room. You're at the table. Why not attack? What do you got to lose? I had nothing to lose, and I approached this like I didn't. I actually had more to lose than I thought I did. I approached it as if I had nothing to lose, but I did have quite a bit to lose, and I lost quite a bit when it didn't work out. So I'll tell you a little story real quick. So NASCAR, some of you guys know that we had been doing sponsorships in NASCAR, but the way that came about, NASCAR kind of has an interior culture of people that go around and they connect, look for products that would be good to sponsor on race cars. They sell spots on the race cars, they get a piece of the action. It's like a broker type of deal. There's a lot of people out there that do it. I came to find out. So a lady that I got introduced to introduced me to a guy named Jim. Jim was a guy that was selling slots for a racing team in the basically what was a minor league to NASCAR, but he had connections into NASCAR. And he said, well, hey, you guys come down. This is a Thursday night. We meet on a Thursday night. Like today is Wednesday, it would be like Thursday night. So we met, we talked. We make a deal that day because me and the couple of partners that were with me in this moment were all laser focused. And so when he brought us this opportunity, he says, you guys can come down to Daytona next week. They having all of the Daytona preliminary stuff that's going to be going on. And you guys can come down here and introduce your product to a whole bunch of people and talk to this race team about coming aboard and working with them. We jumped on the opportunity. We hired a company to get these spandex racing suits that had the race team logo of the people we were going to meet. We had never met them, but we put their logos on there to show them some gumption, like, yeah, we believe that we can make this happen. And we hired, because we were going to Daytona, we hired 4 models from a modeling agency in Orlando. We brought them, we met them in Daytona, gave them the suits, they put the suits on, and we go into this place called the Wing House, which is like a Hooters type restaurant. The girls go in there, everybody's gawking because these girls are real pretty and stuff, and everybody's kind of whatever. So the manager comes out and talks to them, and she said, well, hey, we got this new product. Can you let us pass it out to the people in here and do it like a little tasting? He was like, sure. You're giving away stuff free? Have at it. So we in the Daytona. It's not a black person nowhere in here. And there's 4 brothers and, no, 3 of us and 4 of them, the models that were with us. And we in here having a wonderful time. But in the meanwhile, Jim was hooking up a meeting with a guy that was a race team owner there in the NASCAR circuit. Not a big team owner. He had a nice little team. His son was one of his drivers, and he had a couple of the older guys who had done some great races before. So in this meeting, he comes in on a private plane into the Daytona Strip. They got a nice little strip for all the race team owners to fly in on their planes. And this guy runs an oil rig business, selling parts to oil rigs in Texas, super loaded. So we're sitting down, and he's on some type of board where they're working to help NASCAR to get themselves positioned to diversify their audience. NASCAR is historically, from outward appearances, a very white sport, and there's not a lot of black involvement on the race side or the fan engagement side, right? So he says this, on the backs of something that we had just done with a major hip hop superstar, he says this. He says, this product that you guys got, he said, I see how these people in this room are moving around and how they love what you got. He said, these people in this place, they love what you got. He said, you guys, along with that superstar, whose name you'll learn about more as I talk through these talks, and then in the masterclass, you'll hear that story of how that went. But he said, you guys, with a product like this and with a celebrity like that, you could be the bridge between NASCAR and a broader and more diverse audience using this product and that superstar connect. He comes out, does the Gentleman Start Your Engine at the Daytona 500, your products on all over the place, cars, boom, 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 a natural fit. Now, in this moment, he was telling me something that I wasn't prepared for. He was showing me a value that we had in the marketplace that I didn't know existed. But because we were psychologically prepared for this by now, we handled this very well. The next day we go out and we meet the race team owner, have a great time. They love our product. We ended up engaging a relationship with them, traveling around the country at racetracks, doing samplings and meeting all kinds of people, man, in some really interesting places you wouldn't expect us to be. But again, we went to these places, and I have to stress that to you guys because everything ain't really. I have to remind you, man, that if you build your business around the fear of racism and that whole bullshit, you will lose. Even if your product is built to serve the black community, you can't put your product out there with fear that racism is going to somehow slow you down. You got to attack it and pursue it as if that don't exist. Because when you really get into the private sector world, you'll find out that it don't exist to the degree you think it does. And I'm telling you this story as a means of proving it to you because this is an environment that you would have never expected. I would have never expected to have so much fun and be so much welcomed in that environment. So now with the race team owner that we met, that relationship went on. They offered us some great things to do with our product. That didn't necessarily work out, but me and him are great friends today and still work on different opportunities that we both kind of have. But you know, that area of the mental side of the business is just one of the things you'll learn about in the masterclass. How do you deal with having a moment come to you that puts you in a position that's far bigger? So you're either going to adjust your mindset outward or you're going to stay back and go inward. And trust me, a lot of people go inward and they crumple under that. And they go back to their cubby hole and they just fold up and in a sense, business-wise, they just die. So point number 2, in the 3 reasons you should come to the masterclass, because the second part of the series is about business development. You know, when you go out for a capital raise, venture capitalists and even angel investors, what they're concerned about more than the product that you got in your hand is your ability to manage that product. I'm holding Ablation water here. Shout out to Sly Townsend. The product you have in your hand could be the greatest damn thing on earth. But if the person that has it can't manage it, the investors won't do it. Or they will offer you a deal that is outside your favor, and now you're offended because somebody wants a bigger percentage. You've seen it happen on Shark Tank. But that's in part why it happens. Because they offer you a deal. If you can't manage the company, that means that an investor has to invest in the infrastructure, which essentially increases his investment amount, but somewhat decreases the margin by which he's looking at. So, because it's giving him more cost on that side to prepare the business for proper production and sale and everything else. So that's why you see bad products in the market all the time. It's stuff that you walk past 10,000 products in a Walgreens or a Walmart every day that you will never buy, but somebody will. It's like I told you before, it's an ask for every seat. So it's like in the music business where a bad product that's presented properly can win over a good product that is not. So for all you that get all emotional and shit and think your music or your this or your that is the hottest damn thing out here, your product, your service, just keep that in mind. Your ability to manage that is what makes you great. Your ability to provide value to your clients, your customers, each and every day, in and out. So now, the other side of this business development piece is about understanding your true cost and your margins and how you establish that. So now, when we met Jim came to town on a Thursday. I want you to follow this. It's very important. Jim came to town on a Thursday. And that Friday night, we went out to the old joint up down by Mastro's Steakhouse, the joint, Stan Wozniak's old joint, where George used to be. Nice jazz music. So we wanted to go out and entertain him and the lady that introduced us to him. So we're in there, and these people out on the dance floor. My guy's like, hey, I don't think I'll get up and dance a little bit. This lady out here I want to dance with, pretty lady. So he goes out there and asks the lady to dance, and they start dancing. And being like he was on business 100% of the time. So, well, what you doing here? Who you with? They start talking business. She works for a capital acquisition firm, which is a capital acquisition firm that we ended up hiring. She presented them to us. We ended up hiring them almost on the spot, and they started building us up and building us out to be able to prepare ourselves to get investment capital. But in that process, so we were running a brand where over $1 million at that point had already been invested in this brand by the partners that were in the business even prior to me coming a part of the company. But in all of the paperwork and everything is there, but from a cost segregation perspective, none of that stuff had really been done. So we had to sit down in this room with these people for, 6-hour sessions and go through breaking down every account, all of the accounts we had lined up, break down the individual costs, not just of the can of the drink, but the ounce of the drink of each type, and there were 4 types at the time, the cost per ounce, the margin per ounce to the distributor, to the retailer, all of that lined up and projected on 10%, in some cases 20% or more increases quarterly over a 3-year time span. That level of mentally tearing down your product essentially to build it back up is what you might have to be prepared to do when you undergo a consultation from a business development consultant or somebody that an aggregator that's coming in to really flush out where the money is in your business. Some of you, some of us, hell, me too, we leave money on the table. Where are you leaving money on the table at? You can't see it all the time. You're in the chess game. You can't see the bishop over here tonight. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes you need that outside eye. And it's like I was telling you the other day, don't be afraid to pay people. The numbers, everything we put together, a part of that, what was built into that was a big Walmart deal, which you'll also find out a lot more about later. But now, because we were in this state of readiness, here's what happened next. Somebody introduced me to a gentleman. That gentleman said, hey, the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce is having this big event, and the head of the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce is going to be there. So we go up to this event. We always carry samples of our product around. You know, you do the stand up and introduce yourself thing or whatever. People were asking for cards and talking. But this guy hooked me up. So Lester is his name. Lester Blair connected me with Larry Ivory. Larry Ivory was the president of the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce and still is to this day. Larry and them saw what we had and they jumped straight out. So happened one of his banker friends from Milwaukee was here. We sat down, we had a meeting like that day, all on the spot. A week later, I was in Peoria at the Paradise Casino doing a pitch to a diversity panel to get our drink placed at the casino. And it got placed at the casino, which led to us going down there doing all types of events and different things. Led me to what I told you the other day about my connection to the ambassador of Botswana, Africa, and an international business opportunity that was beyond my wildest dreams. And I also won and was presented with, on behalf of the company, the 2012 New Business of the Year Award from the Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce. You know, my industry, my situation, different than yours, but I'm in a different industry now entirely, but the rules of this whole thing are all the same. It's built around how you attack what you go after. It's your mentality at the core. And are you really looking for opportunity? Do you really want this shit? You know, you got to think about that. You go in and somebody tell you, you're running a good business, but I'm gonna have to tear this down to build it back up. Now you think about that. The connections, the segmentation, the reassembly of your business. Think about how McDonald's does that, right? A lot of times, McDonald's will rebuild a store and never even close the damn doors. They'll rebuild a store and still be open. They'll rebuild it in sections, tear it down and rebuild it in sections. Work through either the night or a day when they can close early, and then before you know it, you got a brand new store and you don't even realize what the hell just happened. That's what this type of stuff did. And it's because we engaged professional people who had the real wherewithal to take us where we really needed to go. That's why we were achieving so much at such a high level. Now, the third reason you need to come to the masterclass is that the third session in the series on August 20th is going to be on networking. And a lot of you take networking for granted. You think that it's just all about meeting people, right? So here, I told you to follow me from the beginning. Now, there was a guy who used to come to the BSN events at Red Kiva from 2009, 2010, back in that era, 2011. Name is Eric. Eric Finkelstein. Eric is a great guy. Eric, a lot of times, was the only white guy in the room, but he always had a great time. He always intermixed and networked well with people. Eric was in the business of selling energy at the time, like for your energy bills in your house and in big commercial buildings and stuff like that, right? But Eric has a talent for connecting people and a real passion for it, right? So he was the one that connected me to a lady named Julie. Julie was trying to sell sponsorships to a Super Bowl party in Indianapolis that year. The Super Bowl party didn't work out. But then somehow she comes across a guy. She sits in the Tavern on Rush and tells us, well, I really don't know what else I can do for you guys. And all we said to her was, just if you hear somebody talking about it, your ears are open now. You hear somebody talking about it, let us know. Sure enough, she introduces us to this guy, Jim, who takes us to that whole Daytona circuit, and that leads us down that path. That also led us to the joint that day, where we met the woman who connected us to the capital acquisition and business development company that put all this and packages together to make us very appealing to a lot of investors on different levels. Eric was also the root of introducing me to Lester Blair, who introduced me to Larry Ivory. He was on my ass for months to meet them. He introduced me to Arnez Dancy. Shout out Eric Finkelstein. You did great, man. You did a lot of stuff for me. And the fact that we didn't make it and do what it really needed to do was always regrettable. But it's because of that I get to tell this story and give you the perspective that you need to carry on in your business. There's a technique to networking that brings about that type of result. And you learn more about that in the networking part of the masterclass. There is, when I say that there's more to it than just shaking hands and meeting people, it's engaging people like Eric, who you don't expect to be the person that you're really looking for, but he is, because he's a web, he's a connector, like a Kevin Bacon, if you will, for those of you that know what that's about. But Eric was a guy that when he would call me, I answered the phone. When he would try to engage me, I would listen. And if he needed to meet, I meet. If he say I got a meeting for you with somebody, I go, because I know he's always bringing value to the table. So when you bring value to the table, you possess power in rooms with people that you think are more powerful than you. But when you bring that value, you're giving them something that they need, which means they need you. And it's a hell of a thing to live the life that I've lived and come from where I came from and how I grew up, not prepared for all of this, that I could end up in a position like that and be able to manage myself and handle myself and get, to the 5-yard line, hell, the 2-yard line, almost getting a touchdown. But it's because of that I get to teach you, and I really, really hope to have you there. August 6th, August 13th, and August 20th. You can get just one of the 3 classes, the psychology of entrepreneurship, business development, or networking, or you can get all 3 for a reduced price. So you can go to DwayneHirsch.com, click on Book Me, see Masterclasses, and sign up today. And again, as I always say, I try not to make these things too long, but I could really go on with this all night, man. It's a lot that I got on my heart to give you. And if you're ready to take it, I'm here to give it so you can get it. But again, don't make the 11th hour your last hour. Give me one more hour tonight. Give me a half hour. Give me 20 minutes of something that you know your ass need to be doing tonight. And I'll be fine. Just give me that tonight and give it to yourself and give it to your future. And don't forget that the power is in you. Thank you very much. And I'll see you again soon on the 11th hour.